somebody might be thinking, is this an idol? Is this not? If you can't do without it, or if it was withdrawn today abruptly, and that would completely wreck your world as you know it, or that would cause you not to function at your maximum capacity, check that
idol.
thing.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Best Kept Secrets podcast, where we share our best kept secrets about life, love, God, and everything in between.
Hi guys, welcome to episode 2 of season, I think 5 of the Best Kept Secrets podcast, where we share our best kept secrets on God, love, life, and everything in between. So in episode 1, I told you guys that we are looking to have a lot more conversations in this season, and I am bringing on people that I absolutely love, people that I know you guys will learn from, and I'll also learn from as we're talking and as we're having these conversations. So today my guest is Dora Obwaka, and I will let her introduce herself and then we get into the topic for today.
Okay, so you've said my first name and last
Yes.
name. Just in case you wanted to know, my middle name is Maulo. So it's Dora Maulo Obwaka. I am, first of all, born again. I love God. I love Jesus. I am an entrepreneur.
Why did you say
Because
entrepreneur?
I always mess it, so I'm just like, let me roll with it. Let me roll with it.
You're good.
I also do content creation, kidogo, but it's a love-hate relationship over there. Yeah, and then I'm also into ministry, so speaking to people, especially a passion for young ladies, just equipping them, encouraging them, all that good stuff. I'm also a daughter, a favorite one, I
Ooh.
believe.
Your sisters are watching this.
I know they are, and let them find me, okay? Because I said what I said. But I am also, a sister. I have my sisters, and I'm a functional member of society. We thank God. Praise Jesus.
Praise Jesus.
Yes.
Hallelujah. Thank you for being here, Dora.
Yeah.
As I was trying to figure out what to speak about with you, I was, first of all, I just was so confused. I didn't know exactly what, and I'm so glad that I spoke to you and I asked you, like, what do you think we should speak about? This is what I
Exactly.
have already. Please feel free to add, and you gave us such a wonderful topic. And Dora is making us speak about dethroning idols. Yeah. Unasikia venye na sound?
So
Girl.
deep. Let me tell you, it's theological.
Dethroning idols.
Yeah.
As we start, I think we should first figure out what is an idol, or what does idolization look like. Yeah.
So for me, in simple layman terms, an idol is something you worship. An idol is something that takes center stage of your life.
Yeah.
And so it sits, if we can say it figuratively, it sits on the throne of your heart.
Yeah.
So that's what an idol is to me. Is
Yeah.
that your...
Yeah, my definition, it's probably in the same lines. I would just say something that takes the place of God in your heart, because ideally God is supposed to have the throne of your heart. So if something comes and takes that place, then it becomes an idol. I think when we think about idols or idolization, we think like Old Testament, a statue, something that like we are worshipping. And I don't know if people are aware that like even in the day and age we live now, even if you're not worshipping a statue, you could be worshipping things in your life and making those things idols.
Exactly, because anything you magnify is something you're worshipping. So it's a god, small g. If you remember, like in the Old Testament, one of the commandments was, you shall have no other god before me. And like you've said, people think that it's this statue that you're lying prostrate before and you're worshipping. But anything that literally is the focal point of your life has become an idol. It can be anything from, I was thinking since yesterday today, it can be anything from relationships to something even that looks good, but as long as it's taking center stage, it is an idol. Something like school is nice, I mean, if you look at it in whatever, but if it's something that
is taking the place of God,
exactly,
it's an idol.
then it's an idol.
what would you say has been something that you've definitely idolized, that you have dethroned or you're learning to dethrone?
Okay. I think for the longest time, I had idolized alcohol, and let me not just say alcohol and drugs, but just the whole lifestyle. So growing up, you know how you watch music videos, you're seeing, I know Lil Wayne and those guys are not a thing, but at that time, oh my gosh, they were the thing with, he did his
Yeah,
hair,
yeah, yeah.
shagala bagala. But you would see that and that lifestyle, and it
Was
would be,
appealing.
you know,
Yeah.
you just felt like, wow, that is it. That I will have arrived if I live that type of lifestyle, right? So I wouldn't even just say alcohol and drugs, but that whole partying, reckless, YOLO, living on the edge lifestyle was an idol. And that's how I got into alcohol. That's how I got into smoking and all of that just at 17. Because for me, that was, it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you idolize something, it becomes your master.
Oh, yeah.
So it masters you. You feel like you're in control and you're the one who is dictating how, when, especially with addiction, how, when you'll use, where, type of thing. But it gets to a place where that master now demands of you. You have made me your God. Let me dictate to you now how your life will look like. And so in the beginning, there's the allure of like, wow, it's all glitz and glam. But after a while, it's like, even if you wanted to stop, you've given your life to me, so this is going to be how you do things, how you operate. So I'd say alcohol addiction for sure, a good 8 years of my life with all that came along with it. And yeah, now it took a very long time to be able to even detach from that. Yeah.
I'm sure it left like scars as well, because I think when you idolize something that's not God, it does leave you with scars and things to heal.
Because there's consequences just even with God, and a consequence is not anything bad. Consequences are just the natural outcomes of your actions. So there's positive consequences, there are negative. Even with worshiping God and living for Jesus, let's say, there are consequences, there's fruit that comes. So in that lifestyle, there was definitely consequences and fruit that came with it. Things like missed opportunities, broken relationships, forming warped views of like life and people and all of that. There were negative relationships, which also became now an idol as well. Um, yeah, I mean, when I think of the consequences, I'm just, when you look back and like because I knew God from like a tender age, right? And I had grown up around the word. My mom is a reverend. Dad been an alcoholic since I was born. But I mean, I was exposed to the things of God. And so I had an opportunity to choose. And for me, I chose this other route, with obviously the thinking that this is where I'll have fulfillment and whatever. But in the end, kiriniramba, how do they say kiriniramba?
Yeah.
And thank God that he restores. But there are some things you just won't get back. Like time, I can't go back and like say,
Can't get the
let
8
me
years
rewind
back.
and do high school and university. Opportunities I had, there was a time I was studying music in the States. Like I had opportunities and things that I could have um committed to, and right now I would be reaping the benefits, but because of choice. And let's say for an idol doesn't just become an idol. You choose.
You choose to make it an idol.
You choose. You're the one in the driver's seat to say, you know what? I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna be around this person. So it's not something that just, all of a sudden I have this idol. All of a sudden this thing is ruling and reigning in my life. No. It's you who is in the driver's seat. And I wanted to say this because a lot of times we have a warped view of like something like addiction, where it's like people feel like, the person who's an addict is the victim. They have no say. They are just, in fact, it's a disease, and whoa, you're actually the one, it's the alcohol that's the problem. But in my view, even with a biblical perspective, I believe that addiction is a sin problem. It's an idolatry problem. You made a choice to go out and do this thing. And obviously, after a while, there's that shift. But then you're the one who has the ability to surrender. It's not that now, oh, I'll just leave, like I've been kaliwad and whatever. You still have the choice. So you decided to put this thing on the throne, but you also have the choice when you wake up to say, you know what, I want different. And for me, after 8 years, I chose different. But it's been a struggle, even in between then to now. It's definitely not been
Easy.
a straight road. No, I can't say since that time, 24, when I surrendered my life to Christ, I never had a drink. I never went back to things like heroin, but then alcohol, cigarettes, there are times I've used. And so it's, yeah. Let
Yeah.
me leave it there. This topic, man, I could go on and on. But yeah, there are things, but let me also say, like, there are things like when an idol, it looks innocent, and literally you won't reap the consequences from it. So you can keep something in the place of God for a long time without even, it's usually when we have negative consequences.
That's when you're like, oh, this thing is an idol.
Exactly. I need to put God in his place. But there are some people who literally they'll go through their life. In fact, they succeed. They succeed when their priorities are misaligned. They succeed when they are worshiping the wrong things. And that's why there's a verse in Proverbs that is it Solomon who is, no, let me not put it on him, but it's in Proverbs. And this guy, the guy that was talking, was saying, how comes the wicked prosper? Like, how comes they seem like they have it so good? They seem like really they're doing the wrong thing. They are unjust, they are perverted, they are rebellious, but life is going good. Have you ever looked at those people? It's like they don't even love God, but they are winning. They are winning by the standard of the world. And so I feel like it's even better to have consequences to your actions and have a wake up call than go through life and live outside of God with misplaced priorities and win in life. Because at the end,
Go back to God.
no, at the end, if you don't go back to God.
No, I mean, we're still going to be judged by God.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Exactly. At the end, it's appointed for man once to die, and after that comes judgment.
Yeah.
So, Harry, you even have the wake up call on this side
When
of
you're while you're still alive.
when you have a choice.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. When we were speaking earlier, I was trying to figure out like what are things that have been idols in my life, and you told me something that you've been willing to compromise on, like the standard you've been willing to compromise your standards on, is probably potentially has been an idol in your life. And for me, I think something that has definitely had the throne of my heart for a long time was marriage. And haha, surprise, surprise, I'm single, not married. So what was the point of marriage being an idol in the first place? Nothing. There was no point. But for the longest time, marriage was definitely, and I think a lot of Christian women are very guilty of idolizing marriage. And me, I'm one of them. Like just raw Safi, I've definitely like had marriage as an idol. And I think I realized that marriage was an idol for me when I saw myself compromise in so many situations because I was so desperate to just meet my husband. Like I was so desperate to just get married.
Wow.
And like, as in, girl, like if I get into the craziness of the things that I have done and the compromises that I have made, it's just like I look back and I cringe. But I'm glad that I can now look back and cringe, because there was a point where I was like, yeah, I'm just doing what I gotta do. Like, I love this
Exactly.
man, or like whatever. And
Yeah.
I remember there was a relationship that I was in for a really long time, I think almost 5 years. And
Oh.
I had like this person that was telling me, yeah, like she was someone very spiritual. And she was like, yeah, I feel like this is your husband. This is your husband. At this point, I'm like 20, I think 4, 5. And so now, imagine I've been idolizing marriage since then, because I'm turning 30. So I've been idolizing it for a while. So I'm like, yeah, oh my God, like, yeah, I can see it too. He could be my husband, like all of these like things, but really, truly, he was not my husband. So I'm being told all of these things about how he's my husband. And she even made me like, actually, when I met her, she came at me telling me, you're in your season of marriage and I am here to help
Those
you,
prophetic
like help you
words.
prepare. And you know what, fair enough, maybe I was in my season of marriage and I missed it because I chose the wrong man. So I end up being with this man for 5 years. Horrible, like I don't want to call him a horrible person, but my experience was horrible. He cheated a lot, lied a lot, did a lot of horrible things. But I kept staying and I kept compromising, because I'm like, this is my husband. Like I like that, like we're getting married, and I think my friends and my family, my mom, everyone was looking at me like I'm crazy, because you're like, how could you possibly think that this is your husband and that you're going to end up being married to this man? But I'm like, you guys don't know. Me, I know this is my husband and we're getting married.
Yeah.
So I have definitely compromised a lot with my relationships, because I have had marriage as an idol. And I think where we struggle is that marriage is a great thing. It's a thing actually that God made. It's like a God made institution, and God desires for us to be married if marriage is your calling. But I think we struggle because we're like, okay, this thing is a good thing and it comes from God. And then you realize, okay, this is a good thing and it does come from God, but I'm idolizing it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think when I think like for drugs and alcohol, you clearly know this is a bad thing for me. When it's a good thing, you're like, oh, this possibly cannot be an idol. When really and truly it is an idol.
It is.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you can have a good thing, but if it's misplaced in the, is it hierarchy of, what needs to be in its place, then it becomes a bad thing. And I feel like God is a jealous God. Not I feel. Take that back. I don't feel. God says he is a jealous God. And sometimes God will not give you something that is going to rival his lordship in your life. And so he'll be like, you wait it out. Let me make sure that this thing isn't going to become the center of your life even when I give it to you. And this thing of marriage, for sure, even me, I've been humbled. I've been very humbled. And I actually didn't know, especially even when I gave my life to Christ, I didn't know. And this wasn't even so long ago. But I won't tell you how recent. It may sound like I've really learned lessons in the past, but it's less than 2 years ago. But anyway, so I didn't think the relationships and whatever were idols anymore. But how I knew it was an idol was when there was a guy who told me, I don't know if I'm ready to settle down. And this time, I'm like, excuse me, sir.
Oh.
You don't see? You don't see what I see? Do you see what I see? But I was just like, that broke me so much. And mind you, I hadn't known the guy for that long.
How long?
Hey, now my real husband could be watching this. So
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. But maybe for like a month. I had known him for a month.
Okay.
Or even less. And to be honest, I had already put him in a place where he was so the center of everything. I'm waking up. You know how it's, you want the good morning, babe. Good morning. You want this, you want this. And after he told me, and we weren't even in an official like relationship, but after he told me, oh yeah, I'm not sure about the season I'm in, that thing, let me tell you, it nearly wrecked me. Because I felt like, and I feel like even this thing of marriage, it might not even be the institution of marriage. It could be the root of it is just that acceptance, that security, that feeling of significance. Because you know, the psychological needs, the top psychological needs are the needs for validation, affirmation, and significance. So it could just be the heart of that is wanting somebody to assure you, to affirm you. And me not, now for him to say that was such a blow to me that I had to do a double take. Like, how could I have known a guy this amount of time? And yet, because he said, and he didn't say, you know, you're da 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 da. It was my season. So it was just a him thing. But then it just, for me, it felt like, oh my gosh. Like,
how dare you?
how, like, this is not right. And I was so wrecked by it that it forced me to realize that in essence, God was not where he
Was not
was.
there.
Yeah. And something that, because somebody might be thinking, is this an idol? Is this not? If you can't do without it, or if it was withdrawn today abruptly, and that would completely wreck your world as you know it, or that would cause you not to function at your maximum capacity, check
It's an
that
idol.
thing.
Yeah.
If it was social media, me for a long time, social media, I was like, phone, if the phone, like, I can lose my car keys 100 times. My phone, I know where it is all the time, every time.
In your hand.
You know,
It's in your hand. That's where it
either
is.
the right or the left.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not that
Yeah.
far. But I had to check because I was like, what if social media disappeared? What if just today, all of a sudden, we became like, where is this? China, or the places that are
They're banned.
communist, and there's so much control
Correct.
and everything. What would I be able to do life? Is that where my life stems from? And I think that's one of the ways you can really check yourself.
Yeah, and know if it's an idol.
Yeah.
That's great. I also have that same struggle with social media. So what I try to do, okay, I've done it once. I just delete everything. Like I delete my Instagram, I haven't deleted TikTok. But Instagram was what was the problem for me. So I would delete Instagram for like a week, and then I just go a week without it. And at first it's like a craving. It's just like I'm itching. I'm like, oh, I just need to go and like tap on stories. I'm not even really even internalizing. It's just like I just want to go and see. So
Exactly.
occasionally I've done it once, but from now I think I want to make it a habit to occasionally just like delete it and live without it, and see how I'm able to function, because I also don't want to be dependent on it. Yeah. But also when you were speaking about the marriage, and it's not necessarily the marriage being the idol, it's the thing that you're seeking in the marriage.
Yeah.
I think that's really good, because even as I was speaking about my own like idolizing of marriage, I was just like, because I do have, or let me say I did have, okay, I do have work in progress. I do have abandonment issues. So I think for me, what I was seeking in the marriage of finding my person was just, that gap of abandonment and those wounds of abandonment being filled, feeling like I have been chosen and I've been accepted, and this person is choosing to spend their life with me and they won't abandon me. I mean, first of all, they are legally binded to me. So
Yeah.
how dare you try to abandon me? But I think that's what I was looking for, and that's what I was idolizing. It was the acceptance, the feeling that gap and all of that. And until I worked on those issues, I can now confidently say that I'm content being single. Like I am like I don't wake up thinking, oh my God, when am I gonna meet my man? I wake up and I'm like, it's so quiet. Like, it's so quiet, it's peaceful. I just wake up and it's just me, and I just get to live my life, and there's no one, like, I have no good morning text, and it's great for now. Ask me in 2 years, it might not be great. But as of now, it's great. So I think, even because I know a lot of Christian girls struggle with this, I think we need to first figure out what's the root thing with the marriage idolization. Is it the marriage, or what exactly are you idolizing there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, me, I'm constantly, and I feel like as long as we are alive and as long as we are in this side of eternity, there'll always be something that's fighting for the place of God in our lives. Like, we'll never have arrived. I mean, God is supposed to satisfy us and meet our need completely and totally, so that all these other things are add-ons. They are icing on the cake, but they are not the flesh of life. You know what I mean? But I think as long as you're breathing, there'll always be something that is fighting for that place. But definitely addressing the root is a good way to start to dethrone
An
those.
idol.
Yeah.
What would you say has been another thing that you have idolized in the past
Other
or
than
currently?
other than relationships and any drug related things, I think money. Sadly,
Sadly.
I mean happily. No, I'm kidding. No. I don't know if to say. You see, money is not a bad thing,
Exactly. Yeah.
and that's why we said these idols not necessarily are negative things. It's just the placement. So for me, money. Why money? Because money gives you some form security.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Money gives you respect. Let me tell you, when I was broke, I was very humble. When I was broke, people never even, like, even in my family, let me put this out there, even in my family, no one used to check for my opinion on things. And it's just a natural, thing.
Yeah.
Like
It's a thing
and
human beings
human,
do.
exactly. No one is asking your opinion. You don't really have a say. You're just there. When you get money, consultation. What do you think about this matter? It gives you some standing. It gives you security. I mean, if anything were to happen, let's say an accident or whatever, there's some sort of feeling that I'd be okay.
Yeah.
But you see, the thing that money does is give you a false sense of self-sufficiency, where you can be autonomous from living inside of Christ, so that you're just like,
I'm good.
I'm good. Let me tell you, when I was broke, and not saying that I'm a millionaire, but I'm not where I started. But
We
in
thank
those,
God.
we pray to the Lord be the praise. Those times it was very easy to seek God. It was very easy to pray because, and I've had to check myself on this. I feel like when I started my relationship with God, it was very transactional. It was very, I need to cry out to you because I need this. Then sometimes when you get the this, then it's like, do
Okay,
I really? Thanks God, that was
Bye.
great. That relationship imeweza. I've gotten what I needed.
Yeah.
So when I had nothing, it was easy to seek God. It was easier to, because you don't have options. Money gives you options. And it can also expose you now to walking outside of the confines that God has set for you. You can decide today, I want to live in Spain. And you go live in Spain. Was that the will of God concerning your life? We don't know. But money is something that I am continually having to intentionally keep in its place. Like, it's a tool, it's good, but it's not God. Yeah. I don't know if you've struggled with the whole money.
I think I have. Maybe I am still struggling, to be honest. I don't know. I don't know if I have compromised in because I know, like, I've turned down opportunities that I've felt like, okay, this is not in alignment with my values and things like that. Like, even on social media, I have turned down money. I have turned down opportunities. But I think what I struggle with is releasing money. Like when, like, I like to see my nice account
Zeros.
balance and like my nice like investments where they are. Like I like to see all of that. So when God tells me give here, I'm like, hey, that's a lot of money. God, are you sure? Are you sure you want me to give all of that?
Yeah.
So maybe what I struggle with is giving money, which I guess in some way it is like I am maybe like putting it in a place where it shouldn't be, because I should be able to freely give when God asks me to give. So yeah.
My mom always is telling me how, all your money is God's money,
Yeah.
Even my money, she always tells me her money is God's money, and it's true.
Do you believe that?
It is true.
Uh-huh.
But I know I struggle because she tells me, like everything you have is from God
Yeah.
and unto God. You should be so flexible that if He tells you today, give half your savings to a certain charity or wherever a need that needs to be met,
You should be able to give.
you should be able to do that. But I am like you, where I like to look at the account and I'm like, that looks good. That's sitting pretty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I even struggle with like offering. We have people always argue these things of like offering tithe. Is it biblical? Who said it's 10%? Where is the mathematics? Is it the calculation of gross? CG, whatever. I believe that it's giving from the heart, and I do believe it's the 10%. But I feel like I struggle definitely with that tithe. Tithe is the one for monthly. Yeah. Offering, very good. In fact, I can go above and beyond. But now when I feel like I have to deduct a 10% from the whole, it's a lot more numbers. And I'm like,
make it make sense.
I'm like, first of all, this church, our church, let me not mention our church, but they're good. They
They
have
don't
a
need
lot
your
of
10%.
they don't they have a lot of congregants and a lot of well-to-do people.
Yeah.
How sometimes I'm feeling, but it's literally, if you can't give and if you struggle, the truth of the matter is that thing holds a place in your heart. And you need to check yourself. I need to check myself.
Yeah. Honestly, me too. Because, like, the Bible says that God loves a cheerful giver. I don't think I'm always cheerful when I'm giving. I'm not always like, yeah, God, take it. I'm like, God, do you really have to, like, do I really have to give this thing? Like, so I think I also, like, work in progress over there. I have this, like, fear, which I think is very irrational. But I have this fear, God is going to take all my money.
God.
To teach me that like I need to dethrone the idol of money. I know it's irrational, but every time I give, I'm just like, well, unajo, if you don't give, God is going to take all your money. So I think I need to really work on like my mindset, and I really need to work on like cheerfully giving. And I think also, actually, I learned this from my therapist, and she was telling me a lot of us treat our relationships with God the same way we treat our relationships with our earthly parents. So because I really my mom was very strict growing up. So, and some punishments that she would give me, in my opinion, were harsh. So even now with God, I feel like when I do something wrong, or when I sin, or when I don't do something that is pleasing to God, I'm usually so scared that He's going to punish me so harshly. And I'm usually like begging Him. I'm like, God, please, like, I know I messed up, but please, like, don't take it away, or don't punish me in like this harsh way, because I grew up being harshly punished and all of that. So I think that's why I have that irrational fear, and I think it's a thing that I'm trying to, like, a mindset that I'm trying to work on. But something you said earlier about self-sufficiency being an idol, I think I struggled with that for sure, about just feeling like I'm the one in charge of my life,
Yeah.
and I'm the one managing my life,
Exactly.
and just trusting God with my life.
Yeah.
I think we trust God generally with like he'll keep you safe, or he'll keep your family healthy, or all of these things, but like trusting him with the path that your life takes, I think a lot of
Exactly.
us struggle with. And I think also because culture right now tells us that, do what's best for you, and like do you, boo, and like all of these
Yeah.
things, like
Yeah.
when it comes to God, there's no doing you, boo.
There is
There is
actually
no doing you, boo.
Yeah.
You are led by God, and what God asks you to do, that's what you
Imagine.
do, right? And for the longest time, I was so, self-sufficient, and I was just like, God, I hear you, but I'm gonna do this. Like, I get what you're saying, but this just, don't you think this is a better plan, right?
Yeah.
And I read a quote that said that we want to be led by God, but we want to instruct him how to lead us. And God doesn't work like that.
He does not.
He doesn't. He's God.
Yeah.
Am I God, or is he God? He
Yeah.
knows better than I do. So I'm now at a point where I'm just like, okay, God, I trust that you cannot mismanage my life. So when you tell me to take this path instead of this path, it doesn't make sense to me right now. It doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but it's cool. I know you cannot mismanage my life because you created me. So
Exactly.
fine, I'll take that path, and I know eventually it will make sense. And even if it never makes sense, I'll still do it regardless. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. There's this song, you're reminding me of this song by CJ, it's Dancing. I can done for receive this living sacrifice. I am your worship. So
You're
now
sijui, but
you don't know. I'll share a playlist. It's fire. But my thought is that before there used to be in the Old Testament, there used to be the sacrifice of lambs and whatever, and post Jesus, our lives are the living sacrifice. We are meant to crucify our flesh. I was about to go there. Crucify our desires and our wants, and our lives are supposed to just be a fragrant offering. And to be honest, I feel like many times we are that sacrifice on the altar, and after every we're supposed to be dead. After every so few minutes, we revive ourselves, and then it's like we have to remember, oh snap, I'm a dead sacrifice. Okay,
yeah.
then it's dead, and it's going to be constantly year after year in this Christian walk, remembering to crucify the flesh, remembering that I'm dead to. It's no longer I who lives, but Christ in me.
You
as
better
Paul
preach,
said,
girl.
because the flesh sometimes is, and the flesh is the biggest idol, because it's either you're living in the flesh or living in the spirit. So sometimes the old you wants to, it's just there lacking. It's just there lacking. Even me, in as much as I've been sober for a while, like there's always that can. But
I'm just a glass of
just
wine.
one. In fact, doctors say for your cardiovascular health, a glass of wine, it does well by your your system. So there's that feeling of, but you have to intentionally kill. You have to intentionally say, you know what? No, I surrender. Surrender is not a one-time thing. It's a continual process, and it's painful. It's hard. It goes against the grain.
Yep.
It is not celebrated. It is not something you're gonna get an applause for, like you said. Sometimes making those decisions of what God has said, it's like, God, I know, we like to say, hey, God, you know the end from the beginning, but you in here, where you are in this moment, it's like, this is what is seeming like it's like, make it make sense, God, please.
Yeah.
But then it's like that continuous surrender.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
It's really not.
It's not.
Yeah. What's another thing you've idolized?
Hey,
And
hautaki kusema yako. Mimi ni kama
nimesema. Okay,
najianika.
wacha niseme ama useme. Okay.
Yeah.
I think for me another thing would be fear of men. Yeah. Like just fearing people's opinions, fearing
Not a man.
No, not a man. Like men.
I was like, you love them,
Men,
you fear them.
human beings, men. So just, I definitely feel like I have struggled with for a long time,
Mm.
being scared of what people will say, people's opinions, people's thoughts of me, wanting to be perceived a certain way. And I've definitely held men or human beings above God. And I have just been like, okay, God, cool, you're good over there, but like I make decisions and I make compromises because I want to be perceived a certain way. I don't want people to think of me a certain way. I'm scared of what people will say if I do this thing or if I say this thing. And I think it also comes with the territory of being on social media.
Yeah, for sure.
And having so many opinions and so many people think things about you and say things about you. And I have been talking about this in therapy for a really long time because I've realized that it's even been crippling. Like even when I make decisions, I'm so scared. What will people say? What will people perceive this a certain way, that I'm not even able to make decisions because I'm so scared about what people will say about me, and wanting to be perceived like quote unquote a good girl. And even in therapy, we went back into my childhood and we saw how being called a good girl growing up and being the one who like does things right or doesn't do things right, and how that is manifesting now into my adulthood. It's been a lot. But I'm now trying to get to a place where I'm like, okay, God, I value what you think about me more than what people think about me.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like I keep saying, you created me. Your opinion of me matters the most compared to even my parents or my friends or whatever. As long as God is pleased by my actions, by my thoughts, by my inner workings of my heart, that's what should matter. And then what people say, it's neither here nor there. But I can't say that I've fully gotten it like on lock. I'm still trying to dethrone that idol because I'm still like struggling. I'm still like, okay, that's great, God. I know you think great of me, but being talked about in certain ways, like it's still like a fear for me, for sure. Yeah.
So it's like that acceptance. The
Yeah,
root of
like
it is the acceptance of other people.
yeah, I guess acceptance, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe acceptance, perception as well. Like I want to be in control of how I'm perceived, how I'm all of those things. Yeah. So
And it's amazing to see how many of these things are stemmed from our childhood.
yeah.
Like we didn't just wake up and have these idols. Like there's some times where literally your childhood defines what sits on the throne of your heart even as you grow up. Like that's wow. But me, imagine we are so opposites because now me, I have the opposite issue in terms of like I've always been
I don't care.
I
I'ma
don't
do me.
really care about doing, forget about your type thing, and I could care less. And more of that pride of like, who are you? And why does your. So that now it has to take the other nini of like, God values people. And so you have to treat and love people the way God treats and loves them. These are children of God. So it's not like you're it and they are not. It's that, as in the community and all of that kind of thing. So for me before it was like, and that's why I think I was able to get so rebellious like in my teens, because I didn't care about looking good. I didn't care if you thought that I'm in fact good. Say now that's the worst. That's it. Like there was no reference or reverence for
people and their opinions.
And don't you think that there should be a balance? Like, I mean, not that you should live for the applause of people,
Yeah.
but like a balance in that you're representing God, right? So you do want to be a great ambassador. Not that it rises and falls with what they say, but you do want to put your best foot forward. You do want to present yourself well. You do want to be salt and light of the earth, right? But also not on the other end having what they say be your, like, I can't take this step. What will they say?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a balance.
Yeah, for sure. Because again, like when it's an idol, there's no balance. It's just that they are there and they are there. Like you've put them in that position and that's it. Because I think when there's a balance, that's when it's not an idol.
Yeah.
But for me, for sure, like the opinions of men and the pleasing men, pleasing human beings was for sure an idol for me. And again, like it's not just their opinion. Like for me to be perceived a certain way, I need to please people. You get what I mean? So it was even adding to the people pleasing and the people pleasing nature within me to please people more. And till my therapist asked me, like, if you really look at it, who's actually pleased by you? And I was like, oh, girl, you know what? You're right, because who is actually pleased by me? And I saw this like funny but like very like eye-opening reel on Instagram. And it was like a guy who was reenacting, like it was a skit about a funeral, and he was saying how like he was with him and his friend, and they've just come from they're at a funeral. So they've just buried whoever has passed away, and then they're complaining about the food not having salt. And he was just like, and you're here complaining, or yet you're here thinking about what people think about you. And when you die, after they bury you, they'll go and chat like they didn't just bury you.
Exactly.
And that really like woke me up, and I was just like, and I'm so scared of making choices and making decisions and doing things because I'm so scared what people will think about me. But when I die, at the end of the day, I'm going to face God. And what a shame it would be to go and face God and him to ask me why I didn't do all the things he wanted me to do. And I'd be like, I was scared what people will say.
Yeah.
Girl, like I'm even emotional thinking about it. But it really woke me up, and it was just like, okay, girl, like you can't keep living your life being scared about how people will perceive you, what people will think about you. I think I get even a lot of DMs about, I want to be a content creator, but I'm scared of how people will see me. I'm scared what my family will think, what my friends will think. They'll think I'm lame. They'll think I'm this.
Exactly. And so because of that, you can take up space in a box you are never meant to fit in. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll contort and conform so that you can be palatable, but you're not supposed to be for everyone. Yeah. In fact, I feel like if the majority people are cheering for you and everybody just loves you and everyone accepts you, I feel like I would check myself, because it's like, no, I mean, with my character and the way I am, in fact, let me tell you, with living even as a disciple of Jesus, it's guaranteed. It's not even a bahatisha.
That you will face backlash.
Yeah, you'll face backlash. You won't be many people's cup of tea.
Favorite.
Yeah, you will not be, the model. And I've had to accept that. I've had to accept there's so many brands that won't knock on my door because I don't appeal to the majority of people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even as we're speaking, I'm just thinking, like, because I'm thinking, imagine if Jesus didn't go out into his ministry because he was scared what people would think about him. And people thought a lot of things about Jesus. People had a
Imagine.
lot of opinions about Jesus.
Imagine.
Like, imagine if Jesus was like, oh God, like I'm too scared to go into ministry and do this thing that I'm supposed to do because I'm scared what the Pharisees will say. I'm scared what the teachers of the word will say, and all of these things.
Yeah.
Like,
he would not, the fruit that would come from his obedience would not be here today, which is our salvation, because he compromised based on what other people. And you see, Jesus, even there's a verse in the New Testament that talks about how even though he was around people, he never entrusted himself to them because he knew what was in their hearts. He knew the evil that was in their hearts. So in as much as, imagine he's around Judas, he's picked Judas knowing Judas will betray him. He's like around these guys who many of them were going to, because the same crowd that was cheering him on, saying, Hosanna, Hosanna, is the same crowd later that was saying, crucify him, crucify him. And yet he still walked in obedience for the call. But you know what I feel like enabled him to walk in that obedience and stay surrendered and stay there? Constantly you see Jesus retreating, spending time with the Father alone.
Away from the noise.
And he was Jesus. He could have said, I got it in me. I'm
I'll be
man
like,
and I'm
that's
God.
my dad,
Like
so
who,
I'm good.
Yeah, in fact, I have the DNA is ingrained.
Yeah.
I mean, but you see how much he values the intimacy. And I've been learning so much about how when we are intimate with Jesus and remain in that secret place, it avails so much for us in terms of the fulfillment of our destiny, living right, keeping him at the center. But when there's no intimacy, then because what the voice that speaks the loudest is the voice that you're going to live by. You know, if
and
it's
the one that you listen to.
exactly, if it's the people on social media, if it's your family, if it's society's expectations, that's the loudest voice, then that's what you ascribe and align to. And so I feel like even in all of this, like continuing in intimacy with God is such a game changer to keeping him in his place, a game changer to being confident to walk in obedience. You know, there's a verse, my sisters always make fun of me. You always say there's a verse. There's a verse. There's a verse that says, those who know their God will do exploits. Knowing in that verse is equivalent to experience. So it's experiential knowledge. So it's in essence, it's that when you experience God, when you're intimate with him, when you're walking with him, then you're able to do what you're called to do. As opposed to ni church, ni Sunday, tuende church, like a very surface level platonic, if I could say, very nini relationship. And so I'd love to submit to anybody who's listening, watching, that the key to keeping God in his place is that intimacy.
I love what you've said about the listening to the voice, because I think now moving forward, the question we need to be asking ourselves is, whose voice are you listening to in this moment, in the thing that you're struggling with or the thing that's going on? Whose voice are you listening to? Whose voice is the loudest right now?
Exactly.
Is it the world? Is it you? Is it your parents? Is it your friends? Is it God? Like, whose voice is the loudest?
Is it the enemy?
Is it the enemy as well?
And sometimes we put on the enemy, the devil, too many things. Hey,
this devil,
he's just not even in the room.
He's busy devouring someone else. It's just like,
it's a you problem.
Yeah.
So sometimes you need to check ourselves. But I feel like reading the word really enables us to keep things in perspective. Because on a daily basis, as we've said, so many things are coming at us. And if we are supposed to be in the world but not of the world, we need material that is from on high, that enables us to have perspective of life in accordance to, you know, what he would want for us. Otherwise, you get roped into the, you're turning 30, now jaolewa, you know, then that becomes a voice. You don't have at least an M and your investments are looking like, you know, the way they are looking like, that's a problem. But then if you have, you've stored his word in you, then that shapes the way you look at things.
Life,
and then you're able to walk in the path that God has called you to. Even as Christians, sometimes I feel like we want to be cookie cut Christians, meaning everyone wants to go into ministry. We're not all pastors, please. We are not all bishops. We are not all evangelists, okay?
That's true.
You know, these days it's like when you're to know you umefika, you're on a pulpit. No. You can look like you're in the right place, but you're just in a place that looks right to people. And
But
so
God is like,
and God is
that's
like,
not
no,
where.
you're an usher, baby. You're an usher.
Go serve those people.
Stand at the doors.
Yeah.
You're an usher. Even in worship team, sometimes I'm like, anyway, let me not go there where I feel like kuna wengine wamejituma, but let God let God place you, boo boo.
Yeah.
Let God place you.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's another thing for you?
Weh.
Yangu imekuwa like refu anyways.
Okay, let me think of another thing. Did I have another one? Oh yeah, success, but it's kind of tied into money, but success by the standard of like especially family and society,
Yeah.
like success looks a certain way. I remember there was a time when I thought, my gosh, when I get my car, I'll have
Made it.
I'll have made it. Now when I don't get in a matatu, oh my God, that's when I know it's the
Yeah.
game has changed. But you see, you'll get to that place and it's like, oh, then you'll need another thing. Then you'll
Yeah.
need
There's
another
always
thing. Yes,
something.
there's always something. So there's an allure of when I just get there, when I get in that marriage, when I have that baby, when when I get that job, then I'll be satisfied. Then, but then you get there and then it's like, oh, you too. Like the dopamine lasts for like now more fueling for
Yeah.
me. I'm like, man, and the insurance, like it has its own problems. It's not as glitz and glam, but definitely that success of kind of what you are talking about. You want to meet a standard that looks by societal expectations like you've made it,
Yeah.
like the marriage, the kid, the car, the good house, the good job,
Yeah.
that type of thing. And especially from family, I think for me, even from the past that I had with addiction, coming out of addiction, you can want to overcompensate now.
Yeah.
You really just want to be in their good books because you're like, hey, nimechoma, by the way, nimechoma. Now I need to overcorrect. You want to help everyone. You want to look like you're really doing the things to like now contrast the lifestyle that
That
you
you
used
had.
to live. And I have had to, even me with my therapist, be like, no, I can't live now life for others because I felt like there was a period in my life I did wrong by them. Once they forgive and accept me, and they don't accept me because of what I do, but who I am, because we're not human doings, we're human beings. And for a while, I had that thing of like, my identity and my worth is attached to what I do,
Yeah.
not who I am.
Yes.
So, dependent on what I do, then it shows the value. So, whenever I'm even around in relationships, I'm always like trying to do what can I do so that you can see the value in me, as
Performing.
opposed to that performance, as opposed to who am I, and that is the
Enough.
value.
Yeah.
Because like my therapist asked me, she's like, who's your favorite person? I said, my mom. This was one time. And then she's like, why do you like your mom? I'm like, she's kind, she's loving, she's always been a pillar. She's like, have you noticed in all of that you've described about her, there's nothing about her occupation, there's nothing about her job or her function as a reverend or anything that you've mentioned, because it's not so much what she does, it's who she is. And so I'm learning to detach value to doing as opposed to who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a big one.
Yeah, that's so good. Like, I don't even want to add anything to that. That is good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's many of these things, it's hard because you formed thought patterns, perspectives, and whatever over years.
Yeah.
As we said, we can look back as far as childhood and see like these are formative things that happened. These are things that happened in from formative years that have shaped my outlook on life, have shaped my outlook on what a man is, what a woman is, what success looks like, like all of these things. And it also is a process to
There.
get these things in have the right
Yeah.
view of all of these things for
Yeah.
sure. It's not just like that. In as much as we can say dethroning, I mean, the whole concept of dethroning means it's a continual process. It's
Yeah.
not just I woke up today, oh
And
my
you're like,
God,
yeah,
phone.
bye. Yeah, like
You
not,
know,
yeah.
no. It's the fact that you've recognized something is off,
Mm-hmm.
and then now you're taking steps.
To remove it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
You don't have another one.
I don't have
You're
another
righteous.
one.
You're
Girl,
righteous,
maybe
girl.
I can't just like think about them top of mind, but yeah, I don't have another one. But at the end of the episodes, we usually ask our guests to share their best kept secrets or their best kept secret could be one on the thing that we've been speaking about. So, what would you say your best kept secret is in terms of dethroning idols from your life?
Best kept secret about dethroning idols. Oh my gosh, I think I have two.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, can I say two?
Yeah.
Okay. Number one is boundaries. When things are not kept in the compartments or have the the boundaries that they are supposed to have, then a good thing can become a bad thing. Can I say an example?
Yeah.
Sex.
Mm-hmm.
There's a container for sex, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is marriage.
Yes.
So you look at a swimming pool versus an ocean.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference? A swimming pool is very hemmed in. You know the depths. You know it's operation. It's water within certain confines. Look at the ocean. If you are put in the middle of the
Vast
deep
and
sea,
wide.
and it's like swim for your life. You know what I mean? So there are different things. They have different whatever's boundaries. Keep them in that so that you thrive in them. Yeah, so that's one thing I would say. And then the other thing is don't hold on to things after how am I gonna put this? When you come to the realization of something that is taking the place of God, allow yourself to be corrected. Sometimes we hold on to things long past their due date, even though you know something is wrong, or you know something isn't working, or you know something is, allow yourself to change. Like usikwamilie hapo, like this is how
Don't
I've
harden your
always
heart.
exactly. This is how I've always done things. This is how I've always, us in our family, we've always done this. Which can really hinder you from growth and becoming all that God has called you to be. But have a malleable heart, have a malleable mind that you are able to change with the times, change with seasons as God calls you to step out and change. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you so much for
Thank you for
sharing.
having me.
This has been so fun
I
to
really
just
had
like
such a good time.
yeah, me too, to just talk
Yeah.
and just share.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming.
Asante sana for
We look
having
forward
me.
to having you back.
Yes, I will definitely be
Yeah.
coming back. This topic now has sparked my mind. I'll always be thinking, is this an idol? Makeup, is it? Can I do without it? Can I not? Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, me too, to be honest. Yeah, me too. I'm like, yeah, there's some things I need to go
and
check on. Yeah.
my 1-2s.
Okay, thank you so much, Dora, for coming, and thank you so much, guys, for watching. If you're listening to us, thank you for listening, and please leave for us in the comments and tell us things that you feel like you are dethroning, or things that have been idols in your life or are idols in your life, so we can hold each other in prayer and just help each other out. And sharing is caring. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening, and I will see you, or you will hear me in our next episode. Bye.